Let's find out more about the Boston bomber's sentence. Joining us now from Las Vegas is Troy Slaten. He is a criminal defense attorney here in the United States. Thank you so much for joining us.
My pleasure.
You know, as we've been talking about closure, yes, but, this could drag on for years if this goes to appeal, which it looks like it will. What are Tsarnaev's options?
Well, this case will definitely be appealed. In any case where the death penalty is imposed, the appellate process is automatic. It's important to note that Timothy McVeigh, it only took about 4 years for the appellate process to work itself out before he was executed.
This is a pretty expensive process, and you mentioned Timothy McVeigh more than 15 years ago, about 15 years ago. Right now, there's a federal moratorium on execution. So what does that mean? Could this last longer? Could he not be executed? What has to happen?
Well, he's going to be placed on death row, and then the appellate process will work itself out. And it's also important to note that he was the death penalty was imposed on 6 counts. That would mean that in order for him to have his death sentence commuted and for the sentence to be changed to life without the possibility of parole, he would have to win on appeal on all 6 counts that that the jury found that he should be executed. The chances of that is very unlikely.
What will have to happen, though, for that moratorium to be lifted?
So the Bureau of Prisons is in charge. He's going to be probably sent to Terre Haute, Indiana. Right now, the federal government has said that there's a moratorium on executions. That means there's no executions that are going to go on right now while the federal government is studying the way that executions are carried out. It doesn't mean that the sentence will be commuted. It might just mean that it might take a little bit longer.
Troy, this decision had to be unanimous. How difficult is it to get all the jurors to agree, especially when the death penalty is a very controversial and divisive topic here in the United States? Everyone has an opinion about it.
It is very difficult, especially in Massachusetts. There was a recent poll that showed 70% of the residents of Massachusetts are opposed to the death penalty. In fact, the death penalty is illegal in the state of Massachusetts. But this wasn't a state case. This was a federal case where federal law applies, and all of the jurors were what are called death penalty qualified. That means they were asked questions that basically said that if push came to shove, if the evidence was sufficient, and if the law provided for it, they could vote to execute. And in this case, they did in 6 of the counts.
So that being said, were you surprised by this decision? What do you make of it?
I wasn't surprised. Most onlookers and veteran court observers thought that based on the way that this case went, which was, now let's take a step back. He had a very, very competent defense team. They knew from the very beginning that this case was all about trying to save his life. They were never arguing that he didn't do it or they got the wrong guy. They were trying to say, look, he did it, but it was really his older brother that was in charge, trying to mitigate what were the enormous aggravating circumstances in this case. The jurors take their job very seriously. They deliberated for over 14 hours, and it looks like they came to a just decision.
All right, Troy Slaten with that perspective from Las Vegas. Thank you so much for joining us.